All right, again, thank you for coming out to OKC Entrepreneur Group for the changes. The smaller group tonight, but that means we get to do introductions, all right? And Ben's going to deliver a good story, but so thank you again for coming out. My dad always says, you never know who you're going to meet, what one idea can change your life, small, medium, or gigantic, just because you're here. So there's a lot of other things you could be doing on tonight and doing, so thank you for spending time with us here at OKC Entrepreneur Group. So we'll jump right into it. Introductions, who you are, what you do, and maybe what you're looking to get out of tonight. So I'll start. I'm Ron Harris, serial entrepreneur, former IT guru, read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, went out and started investing in assets that changed my life, and was in real estate investing and flipping houses and rentals and those kinds of stuff. It was a stepping stone to my ultimate purpose in life, which is actually coaching and mentoring and doing stuff like this. So I had no idea that was going to happen, but life throws these things at you, and because you follow through, and it's amazing what happens when you chase your dreams and goals and become successful. So what I'm going to look at to get at tonight, I'm always loving to meet new people and hearing their stories and the good and the bad. You're going to hear some awesome stuff from Ben about the good and the bad and the in between, and we always need that inspiration because entrepreneurs are lonely. So we need each other. Who you are, what you do, and what you're looking for at tonight.
Who I am, I'm John Robb.
Hey, John.
What I do, real estate investing. I've just closed on a 3-house package today.
Yay!
That's what I was telling you about. And then what I'm looking for is to hear some information from Ben and let's meet new people.
Stand up.
Yeah. It's good practice.
I'm Daisy Mills, and recently getting out of corporate in July, and I'm trying to transition.
We're the ones that will clap too.
Yeah, so I give myself like a little time frame to really just jump headfirst into whatever I want to do. Kind of been dibbling and dabbling in a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I'm hoping to get out a little bit more direction and just taking that first step, just that risk. I won't just do it, So
right.
I'm hoping to just leave a little bit more information than what I came in here with from you guys that do this. You're entrepreneurs. So.
The book, The One Thing, will help you.
The one thing.
The One Thing.
Okay.
The One Thing, yep. By Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, yeah.
All right, guys. Hi, I'm Jacob Hale, and I'm also in real estate. I work with homeowners who are looking to sell their property quickly. And what I'm doing here is I completely agree with your dad in a sense that I've always said that you're one person away. You're one person away from meeting somebody that can change your life. Mm-hmm. So I'm always about networking and meeting new people, and I also want to hear some great information tonight. I saw the topic and I was super intrigued, so excited for that.
Awesome.
Hey guys, I'm Blake, and born and raised in this area. I just found out about this meeting probably like 15 minutes ago. So I'm really not sure what to expect. In real estate. Don't judge me. I'm actually a felon. Read my first motivational book in jail, and now my company donates the same motivational books that I read in jail.
Yep.
And,
This Tom Pace?
Yep.
Yep.
He was a mentor. And,
awesome.
So I'm here just to kind of network and see what's up. So
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys after.
The cool thing about entrepreneurship is that stuff doesn't matter.
I know.
Jerome here. I'm actually a financial advisor / owner. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and real estate investors. As far as what I want to get out of today, continue to meet new people, network, and then break, so learn something new.
Hi, I'm Jared. I am the real estate agent at Spearhead Realty, and my one thing is probably real estate investing. So on the real estate agency side, I focus on retail clients, buying and selling their own personal homes, and on my personal side, I do invest in single property, single family rental property. Just now getting on the ground level, so it's been about 4 years into the business, and having more homes and learning meeting a lot of cool people. So
Keep up the hard work.
yeah, really appreciate it.
I'm Rupert. My focus is public investing, so I work on the side of the insured instead of the insurance company, primarily with fires, wind, and goes. I'm also licensed with the Spearhead Realty, do real estate goes. So.
This is Zoe.
Hey,
She's covered up.
She's getting ready for Halloween.
How old are you, Zoe? 7. Her brother's back there, Zachary. But I'm Doreen. I'm a real estate agent with Spearhead also, and his assistant on everything that he does. So we will be driving to Florida.
So you do all the work. Is that what you're saying? You do all the work.
No, he does the work. I just love it.
My name is Cassie. I am a behavioral health nurse. I work part-time doing that. I'm also a real estate investor, and then I'm a realtor with Spearhead. So I work with retail clients or investors to buy, sell, lease properties.
Rockford, Dan, either one?
I'm Ron Conceal. I'm a real estate investor and also a mortgage broker. So on the real estate investment side, we multi-spine homes, also do some flipping, and then on the lending side, it's my job to pick up investors with cash.
I'm Dan Myers, aircraft mechanic, real estate investor on the side, just kind of got into it. Still looking for a deal right now. Other than that, like to come out and be around the same line.
Get on the table, Dan.
My name is Jolene Harris. My last career was HR management. I'm also the co-organizer of Entrepreneur Group. I'm the broker owner for Spearhead Realty Group, and then I also coach and mentor real estate investors locally.
For the new faces, you said a lot of real estate. Usually this room is about 25% real estate investors or real estate industry of some sort. But because the night it was a weird night, instead of the fourth Thursday, that's probably why there's more of us here, because what's that word I'm looking for?
We all know each other.
Yeah, all know each other. Here we go. Yeah. So we actually have a different group called the OKCEG Real Estate Investors. Also meet up. And we had to split that up. We Entrepreneur Group has got more and more real estate investors. We kept talking too much real estate, so we actually split it up. So there's two different groups. So that one's focused on real estate investing, and this one's back to pure entrepreneurship. We have a lot of real estate investors because our background and our colleagues, but that's not the focus. So just so you.
How'd you guys get in this building?
The owners loves giving out the space to use to people who are making an impact or entrepreneurial type stuff. It's free to use, and they've let us use it consistently now for what, 3 years now? 2-3 years? Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So this has been a great space, so we always like to plug them. So Dunlap Cotting, it's not your normal intellectual firm, attorney firm, right? It's not boring, it's actually kind of cool, and they're bringing food trucks, and they're bringing all kinds of stuff out here. When it gets nicer outside, you can do events out there. Doug is he's one of the owners, and he's really into the arts. So he does a lot of stuff with the IOA over across the street, and a lot of charities and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But their main focus is patents.
Patents. Yeah.
Patents and intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
They do here.
Yeah.
So if you have an idea and you're trying to get it patented, this is one of the different.
They've been around since like 1910 or something like that here. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So, anything else, guys, on that? Just FYI, a lot of us go to Joey's Pizzeria right across the street. We can literally walk to it. They actually stay open late just for us. They get good beer, pizza, tea, water, milk, whatever you're into, salads and sandwiches and pizza. That's what we call the meeting after the meeting, and we carry on the conversations and break bread together. So the next month, we actually have Rockford Steele is going to be speaking about his story, and from going from the Marines to all kinds of stuff in between to what he's doing today. What was the title you were going to? It was pretty in your face, huh?
Quitting for winners.
Quitting for winners. Okay, there you go. All right. So. Yeah, hey, we know his story, so you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. All right, so OKC Entrepreneur Group. Is it third Thursday?
December is the second.
Right, we had conflicts in this room that we fixed all that for next year. Yeah. Okay. So OKC Entrepreneur Group presents One Bite at a Time, a story about money, motivation, and survival with Ben Day of Lionshare Bookkeeping. Sometimes you're not in control. Old information, new ears. Every business has a $5 problem, sometimes a lot. Ben will share his entrepreneur journey, some essential lessons and realities about the transition from a W-2 employee to a full-time entrepreneur, and some quick and easy benchmarks to help business owners of any field and experience determine the health of their business. International musician, Eagle Scout, brew genius, certified, pyrotechnician, formally, I'm not sure what that, you'll have to tell us what that means. Certified pyrotechnician, Ben runs a business centered around one thing, helping business owners see their own path to success. By working around service providers, manufacturers, lenders, Ben has discovered how bookkeeping can solve problems that sales and marketing never could. These problems are both complicated and simple. How to buy groceries, pay off your house, take 52 weeks of paid vacation a year. While he hasn't quite reached the 52-week of vacation yet, having a fridge full of food is pretty nice. Guys, he's going to share his story, but also I'm sure he's going to talk a little bit about bookkeeping. I can tell you, I don't care what level of success you are from the beginning, getting started as an entrepreneur, to people we've mentored with hundreds of houses and multimillionaires. We all have one similar problem: counting, tracking the money. Where's it going? So he's going to share his story and a little bit of that as well. So guys, welcome. Thank you. Welcome, Ben.
Damn it, locked in. This is valuable. He's a fist bumper, so he'll only shake your hand if you talk. So I'm good here, actually. I came here just for the handshake. I'm going to go get some beer. So I'm Ben, and I've been full-time in entrepreneurship, like quit my job, jumped off for about just over 4 months. And so sometimes people will come to these and they'll talk about kind of the big scheme, and they're now millionaires and it's amazing. And that's not what this is, for me at least. It will be at some point someday, but this is more about, for me, it's more about the roller coaster, right? Very defined moments in my life. I've been really up and really excited, and then it's always coming where it's like, oh, I am terrible at this. I should just quit. I should just go get a job. This is not for me. There's somebody that's better, faster, stronger. And then you get over it and you're back up again, and it's crazy. And so I really wanted to talk about that. And I also really wanted to talk about money. Financial education doesn't exist. If it does, it's atrocious. And it doesn't ever address any of the really root problems that we have with our money. And so that's something that I like to be very open about. I'm not a millionaire. I make enough for my groceries. But I also don't. I go to work when I want to go to work, and I help people and I engage them. And I have enough to do that and be fulfilled and happy. And I think that's the most important part of my journey so far. If I can make millions of dollars later, that would be cool. But at the end of the day, if I can interact with somebody and engage them and help them build something that's really powerful, that's where I want to live. What's really important for me about that is the kind of the imagery and the punchline to this joke. By the way, this is the first joke or pun or lesson that I was ever consciously really angry at. It's like I'm 8 years old, and I've got some snotty friend who comes up to me, he's, Ben, how do you eat an elephant? And I'm the kind of person that I was about halfway through my 12-step plan on how to source that elephant, transfer it to the States, and then make compartmentalize and store for long-term consumption. When he was like, Ben, you're an idiot. Like, it's one bite at a time. Obviously, runs off to play with his whatever, read his comic books. But I'm all about that. I'm all about the rules and the structure. If you present me with a problem, give me a goal to reach, I'm going to take all of the rules that I know of, and I'm going to line them all up, and I'm going to find the quickest and best way to get there. That's just who I am. I'm all about the data, all about the analysis, future projections. That's where I really exist. And that's where I lived for a long time. I did a lot of academic stuff growing up. I wrote a lot of really cool papers, had a lot of really interesting experiences in public school, which this is not about, so we won't get into it, but it was very cool. And then I'm 17, I'm a senior in high school, and I kind of had this epiphany, this moment in my life. And so I walk into my kitchen, I look at my dad, I say, John, because you're 17, you call your dad by his first name. I say, John, I want to go to school. I want to take out student loans and go to school. for music. And my dad, in his infinite seemingly wisdom, looks at me and he says, Ben, I love you. I want to support you. I'm so excited about this thing that you found for yourself that you enjoy. My hope is that one day I will have grandchildren and that one day they will be able to eat. And so if you would like help with college, if you want your mom and I to be a part of this process, please don't do that. Let's come up with some sort of system or compromise to where when you leave, if you're going to go pay money for something, get something that's valuable out of it, that will make you money, and then if music plays some sort of role in that process, so be it. Which I thought was great. And I had no idea what that other thing was going to be because I was all about giving it to the man. And so I'm thinking about, okay, how do I make money? What does money look like? My dad says, well, here's a cool book that I just read. It's really popular right now. He gives me Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I read about the first 30 pages, right? And then the rest of it I just like sped through because I didn't need it. Because in the first 30 pages of Rich Dad, it says, learn to be financially literate. If you want to make money, it doesn't matter what you do. The back half of Rich Dad is all about real estate. But the front half really is, here's how money works, generally. And if you want to know more about that, if you want to take control of that, you really need to become financially literate. Be able to understand what an asset and a liability is. Read an income statement. Understand how cash flows, right? And then you can begin to think about the journey of an entrepreneur from being employed to investor and all the steps in between. And that was all I needed. I didn't need any of the income producing assets nonsense. I was like, all right, got it. I'm going to go to school for finance. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to have a good time. My dad's like, great. Get a bachelor's degree in something other than music, and I don't care what you do with the rest of your time. 2 weeks into college, my dad calls me. He says, hey, change your major. I'm like, what do you want from me? From finance. He said, change it. And I'm very confused at this point about the advice that I'm being given. My dad at the time had a mentor and a boss who was an investor, owned a lot of businesses, was very successful. And when my dad's mentor asked him about me, and he told him what I was kind of doing, what I had going on, he looked at me, he looked at my dad and said, call him on the phone right now. And the advice that I got that changed my major was that if you want to be in finance, you can spend about 30 minutes on the internet and then go get a good job in finance. If you want to understand money, if you want to be able to hang long term, it's accounting all the way. I mean, finance, and nothing has been more true for me in launching an accounting business and being a consultant to other people. I can look up what return on investment means right now and go tell somebody about it and make money talking about the ROI on any particular stock, right? Like that's just division. That's just math with some fun words. Accounting was, for me, kind of the building blocks. It was the rules. It was the foundation to where I could begin to understand what was actually happening with money. Why dividends were more important than average income or ordinary income. The differences between assets and liabilities and expenses and all that stuff that I really don't want to talk about tonight at all. But that was probably one of the big formational moments, was like, if you want to know about money, then you need to know about accounting. And you need to be able to read that stuff. But there's this other element to that, right? Where money isn't just what's on the page, it's the work that you do. It's how you get it, it's where it comes from. When I went to college, I stopped working in the Chick-fil-A at Quail Springs, and I started working for Chick-fil-A as the mascot bodyguard at OU games. And so I would go out on the field in the second quarter, and somebody would kick the ball, and I'm holding people's beer while they're taking pictures with the cow, and it was a great job. It was an awesome job, and it happened maybe 6 times a year, and I would get paid a little bit, and that was super cool, but I wasn't making any money. So I'm like, all right, I need a real job. I need to really understand and pay for stuff. I'd like to have money for snacks, right? Or food. And so I got a call center job, which was the strangest experience I've ever had. Ever. I'm not a call center person. It was a group interview. I don't know if you've ever done a group interview, but it's like, all right, you're going to sit in a room with 20 other people. If you don't talk, you're not going to get hired. And if you talk and you say something stupid, you're not going to get hired. I'm like, hey, cool. I hate this. But I got that job for a few weeks. I don't know how, but we had a good time. You call somebody, you have a script. I'd once called a student who was driving on the way to class because he, all the calendars are based on 4 years, and he was a 6-year senior. And so I called him asking him if he wanted to donate to his alumni association. He's like, I haven't gotten my degree yet. I'm on my way to English Lit. Leave me alone. But again, it was a job, J-O-B. I would go and I would work 10, 15 hours a week, get paid 2 weeks later.
Just over broke.
Just over broke. And then I made real money for the first time in my life. My roommate at the time was a farm boy out from Clinton, Oklahoma. His family owned a farm. He said, nobody outside of my family has lasted more than 2 days working the farm. Not even the guys that I grew up with. So I went out and I worked for 3 months. I worked harvest. I had cow testicles thrown at me. I walked through July in blue jeans across fields of damp dirt so I could hammer things into the ground so I could get back in the trailer and make more damp dirt. And I worked 90-hour weeks, and I made paychecks with commas every Friday. And that was really powerful. And that was the first time that I realized that money could be a problem for people. Part of the farm life is that anybody can do it. You got 2 hands and 2 legs and everything works. Get on a tractor and go cut some hay, right? And what that means is that I was working with people who were full of integrity and had very troubled pasts. That also meant that I was working with people that weren't full of integrity and were currently in trouble, and they would get paid Friday night and sleep in the casino and show up to work Monday morning asking for more money, and because they didn't pay for anything. And it was vicious. And so not only am I learning the true value of my time, but I'm also beginning to see how money really ruins people. Not even at like a $1 million level, just like you get $300 and you got problems deep in you, your money's not going to last. So then I got out and I did some bartending for a while, and that was really cool, and I got some experience. But every time I think about kind of my money experience, it starts at the farm. It starts with that recognition that, like, as soon as you even think you're making money, problems come. And now it's not about how much money can I make, it's how can I begin to treat those problems really effectively. When I graduated, that kind of became real for me a little bit, where once it was just, I'm making money for rent or whatever, and now it's, now I've got this accounting degree, and I've got this music degree, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I just don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't want the accounting degree. I got it. I didn't want it. I wanted the music degree, and you don't make any money on music. So I just drank beer and bartended for 9 months.
Hell yeah.
So it's just like, then that's still me too. It's right there. I could do that all day. Wake up at 2 p.m., drink, go to work, get off at 2, drink.
Smoke a J.
No, none of that. I wasn't all about that. No, that's fine. And then I had this experience where I'm just bartending, I'm putting in no work whatsoever. And in the course of 2 weeks, I got an offer for a great music job, so cool. And somebody called me and asked me if I wanted an accounting job. They said, you've got a degree, do you just want this? Easiest interview I've ever had, ever. But I wanted the music job, obviously. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to engage in that way and kind of pursue that passion. So I turned the accounting job down for a lot of reasons, mostly because they wanted a lot for a little, and they didn't understand their money. But also because I wrote emails in Polish to people in Poland about a Polish concert and organized that for the guy I was working for. I organized concerts in Austria, big music festivals, 2 weeks long. We were putting together something with Oklahoma City Public Schools and public broadcasting. We're putting together a $100,000 budget for an hour-long orchestra pops concert performance with Dolly Parton and all of these big figures and having all this stuff composed. I'm sitting in the room drinking wine with people who are like, have won Emmys and Grammys, and we're putting together a production. And I'm like, this job is the best thing I've ever had, right? Over the course of 24 hours, I realized one crucial thing, and that was that business wasn't making any money. They were having a good time. There were these people that were very passionate about what they did, and they were just hoping that their money problems would go away. Specifically, they were getting a lot of donations and they weren't a 501c3, so there's no reason. It was just a bunch of good old boy network. This whole concert was based on donations, and over the course of 24 hours, somebody got their feelings hurt and the whole program fell apart because that money wasn't there anymore. And that was it for me. I mean, I obviously didn't have a job anymore, even though it was a really cool program. And so that was the straw, where now suddenly it was like, I need to be responsible for money, because it is very clear to me that very few people are. Everybody's just hoping it's going to be okay. Nobody knows. Nobody's prepared. Nobody's ready. And so that's what I did. And the following, I lost that job in November of 2016. By April of 2018, I had started my business officially. Or April of 2017, I had started my business officially. Because I knew, I was like, this is not high value stuff, right? But you really need to know what your income is. People need to know what their income is. And if I can talk to somebody about the minutia of accelerated depreciation over whatever schedule, doing whatever, so that they can just go hustle, do the thing that they love, then let's do that. Because there were too many businesses around me that were just hoping. And I was so close to so many of those people that it wasn't like Walmart hoping. It was like your brother hoping. It was my roommate just hoping this would be okay. It was these huge, great community programs just hoping that it would be okay. And that wasn't enough. So I decided to launch this business. And I get hooked up in a great course. If you're going to launch a business, learn from somebody. So I was searching for it, and Facebook saw that I was searching for it, and Facebook shot me an ad. Facebook said, do you want to start a bookkeeping business? Yes, Facebook, I do want to do that. And so I'd spent some money. I had recently, during that intermittent time, I had both bought and sold Bitcoin for just enough money to not be mad at myself, but also to know that that is not my lifestyle at all. I'm not riding that roller coaster. And so I took that cash and I ponied up some other money and I bought this bookkeeping course. And I knew all the accounting, and I started getting really railed on marketing and building a business. Like if you're gonna if you can solve your problems, that's one thing. If you can figure out how to talk to people about those problems, if you can engage them and be able to build that marketing structure, that's something else. And so that's what I did. I started piecing this together. I go to my dad and I say, hey, guess what? I'm using that accounting degree. And he looks at me and goes, Ben, thank God you're doing that. Because all the meetings I had today, my dad is a community banker over on Northeast 23rd Street. And he said, thank God, because nobody seems to know how to do bookkeeping in this town. Everybody seems to do it a little bit differently. I'd really like something consistent to happen. And all the meetings I had today were with local businesses who wanted money but didn't know where it was. All of their projections were on the back of a napkin that they had just written out for me. And as it turns out, he works with real estate investors. And so through no real particular plan, I started doing bookkeeping for real estate investors because I wanted them to make money, stay in business, And if I could learn a little bit about passive income on the side, I'm all about that. That's an incredibly powerful tool. The big stuff at that point for me really was that sometimes you're not in control, right? I mean, I wasn't in control in the music job. I was cooking. That guy, he sat down at the bar. He said, "Hey, I need somebody that needs help." This is how I got this job. He sits down at the bar. He says, "Hey, I recognize you. You're a musician. You're bored. Do you want a job?" "Yeah, I want a job." "Cool. How much do you want to get paid?" I don't know. Highball, $20 an hour. "Cool. You want to start tomorrow?" I'm like, I don't know anything about how money works, but sure, yeah. Let's start. Let's make some money. And then, sure enough, he doesn't know his money. And I ask him about it, and he's defensive. He doesn't want to talk about it. Money's really sensitive. We don't talk to each other about it. We definitely don't talk to ourselves about it. We just put it off. And then he didn't know what was going on, and he lost it, and I lost it. And you just get to be okay with that. Sometimes you're not in control. Sometimes the rules change. I'm a big rules guy. I thought I was going to make it big. I did everything right. And then it turns out that if one fundamental thing changes, the system collapses. So flexibility has got to be part of the plan.
You mean in business?
In everything. Yeah. I mean, it's like, so in the case of the music business, they weren't making any income. It was all donated, and there was no incentive for the donations. And so it was just like, everything works until one person gets their feelings hurt, and then this whole operation is bunk. At the farm, their whole operation had made money for years, decades this farm had been around. But when the weather starts getting bad and crops don't grow, suddenly the only money you're making is the money on your insurance claim. That's how your business stays afloat. But now everybody's all greedy because they've been making farm money, and you made some bad deals, you got some bad contracts, got some bad equity partners. Nobody knows how money works. And now suddenly grandma's just footing the bill for the business. And thank God grandma's a CPA for the whole town. And the whole town is footing the bill for the business now, but they're not eating, right? Pretty much, yeah.
Those are real examples too, I believe you.
Yeah, man. But yeah, none of those have fixed yet, by the way, either. I get a call every summer from the farm. "Hey, Ben, do you want to come work?" every year, because they can't get good help, because everybody there is bad with their money. And they need people that can show up on time and sober and not sleep in the tractor. I got a call for the music gig the day after I got back from the brain dump that I did with Ron and Angelina. The guy calls me. He says, "Hey, Ben, we got some money, and we're going to try to do the program that we did 2 years ago. We're going to start doing the thing that you helped us organize October of last year. You want to? We'll do the same deal. Just come down and let me know." I told that dude no. So it's the same problem. He's just got money again, so he's just going to try blind. He's got no idea. Sometimes you're not in control, and you need to understand why.
What if you wrote up a business plan and took it to him? Sorry for...
No, you're fine. No, this is intimate right now. I'm just riffing.
How come you can't take a business plan?
Sure. Great question. So without getting into any real specifics, that business model is based on two people. The artistic director, which is my point of contact, and the financial director. And the financial director is a president of a bank, and he's the person doing the good old boy financing, right? He's not donating the money per se, but he's bringing all the outside investors in. They have very different political opinions, so they don't talk to each other at all. But they put on this program together. So anytime I try to talk about money with the artistic director, it's, I don't know anything about that. I just wave the baton. And then I'm like, okay, well, can I talk to somebody about this? No, better not. Better leave it alone. It's pretty fragile. Because we don't know how to talk to each other about money. And so it's
a hint.
It's just complicated enough that it's like, if it's not my baby, I need to be selective with what I do. That guy's fine. His program is going to fall apart again. I hope not, but it probably will. But it's also not his priority. He does 8 things. That's why I got a job, is because he could only do one at a time, and there's always fires in everything that you do. But the big thing for me was that sometimes you're not in control as I was getting started out. It's like, you're going to ride a roller coaster one way or another. What I decided when I started my business was that it might as well be my own roller coaster, right? If I'm going to get jerked around by life or expenses and mistakes and whatever, just make it my roller coaster. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to make my own money. I'm going to provide for myself so that as I begin to engage other people in their business and begin to help them, their bad decisions or their lack of information doesn't affect the amount of food I put in my fridge, right? It doesn't affect my future. It just gives me an extra opportunity to build that relationship. Because I don't know how to educate somebody that's 60 years old on how money works. That's a different lifestyle. I don't know how to educate somebody that's 20 years old on how their money works. They don't care, right? And so it's like, I needed my own personal freedom. And so I launched this bookkeeping business, and it was real simple. It was be virtual, be online, be all the time, I loved that. Loved that. It's really important for me that I can do my business from anywhere. One of the key foundational elements was, if I'm going to run my business, I want to be able to run it from the beach, right? Or specifically, I want to be able to run it from Austria. When I turned down the accounting job, is because I got the music job. One of the perks of the music job was that this guy ran music programs, music festivals. He said, hey, come work for me. I'd love for that. Also, I'm a choir guy. Don't have a whole lot of string friends. Always looking for string players. If you want, be more than happy to take you with me when we go play music in Austria. I'm all about that. Are you kidding me? So I did. So I started my business in April 2017, and then in August that year, I got on a plane and spent 2 weeks wearing more or less this, which was a mistake because it was 80 degrees and there's no air conditioning in Austria anywhere. But I spent 2 weeks playing classical music in palaces to people who spend their whole life worshiping and adoring that art form, which is much different than it is here in the States, right? And one of the big kind of highs for me on my roller coaster was sitting in a church in Eisenstadt, which is in the wine country, the Burgenland of Austria. Sitting in a church that Haydn, the composer, is buried in, like above ground crypt. So I go see the guy, and then I go up into the loft of this domed cathedral. We just play the mass that he wrote for that Sunday in the church that he wrote it for in its entirety. And it was this surreal. It was like, I want experiences like this forever. I'm not going to get this from a 9 to 5. If I was that bookkeeper, that accountant holding it down, running the payroll and doing all this and all that, there's no 2 weeks at a time. That business would fall apart, right? So I needed to build a business that was going to be a little more foundational, a little better for me, better for everyone. So it had to be virtual. Had to be virtual. So that's what I did. Was I built something. And also, I never, ever, ever wanted to fight with somebody about money. So I don't use contracts. I don't ever want to use a contract. If we agree to do something, I'll do it, and I'm going to get paid, and that's it. And then if it's really cool, and you liked what I did, you'll pay me again the next month, and we'll just keep going. And if you hated it, you won't pay me again the next month, and then it'll be it. I'm all about that. I want freedom and transparency and to over-deliver consistently if I can. And if I can, I'll tell you, and I'll help you find somebody else. And that was the core of the business. And it was at that point that I began to realize that I had heard all of this before in my life. That was the second time that I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's also, when I graduated, Stephen Van Kallenberg sent me a care package of, hey, congratulations, here's all these books about why you were wrong to go to college. And one of them was the Tom Pace Mentor. There was a Donald Trump, Robert Kiyosaki book, and then there was one more that that I'm skimping out on right now, and that's a bummer. But
Why A students work for C students and B students work for the government. That's the Robert Kiyosaki book.
yeah. Well, no, so the Robert Kiyosaki co-wrote a book with Donald Trump, and that one was about, it's called the Midas Touch. I don't remember a whole lot out of that book. I remember that the parts that Robert wrote were rock solid. A lot of it was a brag. Was what I got out of the book. I got way more out of Rich Dad. So you can go read it if you want, but just read Rich Dad again. That's what I did, and I got through the rest of it. And it was, build things that make money for you. And here I am on this kind of vendetta, thinking that I'm being original and starting a business, and I'm like, I've already read this. Somebody has already told me this information. One of the things that has really stuck with me in my learning curve and my development and all the areas of my life is a conversation I had with a park ranger when I was in the Scouts. We went to Philmont, which is a 2-week, 100-pound backpack, getting it done, 100 miles, having a great time, and you're in the woods. We had a lady get sick. Took 3 days for her to get out. We had a youth that was with us that had a mental breakdown, and he was supposed to lead, and then he just spent the next 6 days in the back. We made sure he got all the water he needed, but it was like, you're out there. There's no helicopters, there's no cars. It's hike in, hike out. Everything you bring with you, you bring back out, baggage included. And there's a lot of preparation that goes into something like that. And the big lesson that this park ranger talked to us about as we were preparing for that was he sat everybody down. There's a bunch of youth, there's a bunch of old people, wise people, whatever you want to call yourselves. He says, okay, listen, everybody is going to work really, really, really hard. Everybody. There's no lounging. There's no nap time. We're going to push. We're going to run. We're going to do pull-ups with backpacks on. We're going to do it all. And there's a reason. The young guys don't know they can do it. You're 16. You can do whatever you want. Your body is a fortress. You could go do 100 miles today, if you wanted to. But you don't know that you can. You're in your own way, right? Anybody who's not part of the youth needs the training because they think they can do it. They've been around long enough. They're like, oh yeah, I'm good for this. I'm experienced. I know how this works. And what you begin to realize is that your knees aren't what they used to be, right? You got problems. You got stuff that's come up that you can't really do anything about. And so everybody needs to work, but everybody's got different objectives. The young guys need to learn that they can do it. The old guys need to learn that maybe they could do it, but there's probably something more valuable they could be doing in the process. And that was really critical for me. That was old information that came to me in fresh and new ways, where it was like, I feel really experienced in some things, but I've got absolutely no idea what I'm actually doing, and I've never done any of this before in my life. So what can I do to get over that hill? I'm really young in entrepreneurship, so what can I do? So I did everything. Once I had my aha moment, and I was queued up for real estate investors as my clients, I got back, and I think probably the first thing I did was I sat down at the real estate investor coffee meetup that Ron does. One of his students saw me on Facebook somehow magically and was like, hey, my mentor says that I need one of you. Will you come sit down with me and my mentor, and we'll talk about what that looks like? And I have made so many mistakes since that time. I absolutely did not understand the situation I was walking into at that time, but I walked into it anyway. I gave it the good old try. Made a whole lot of mistakes. Did not get that person as a client, and that's okay. He's a sweet dude. But I began to make mistakes as fast as I possibly could because I knew that I was young in this, and so I needed to grow and really push myself in this. I talked to people. I went to networking events. I got on LinkedIn, got my first client on LinkedIn.
Did you ever burn any like bridges that were so that you look back and like shit?
I'm really paranoid about that. Really paranoid about that. I don't think so is the answer. I get pretty cocky. I get very cocky, especially in a competitive environment. If there's like a board game involved or something, like I'm getting after it, man. And so all semblance of niceties are gone. But I'm never putting my finger in somebody's face and telling them where to go, you know? Like I'm never going out of my way to burn a bridge on purpose. If it's happened, it is what it is. Yeah, no, you're fine. But through this whole trial of my life here in the startup, I began to realize that all of this old information I had stored up was hitting me in new ways. And I spent a lot of time going back into that stuff, just making sure that I really understood what it was that I was dealing with. It meant that I was, rereading Rich Dad. It meant that I was revisiting old relationships, talking to people in new ways again. And to this day, I'll have the same conversation with people over and over and over again, because every time I learn something new. That's one of the big reasons that I continue to come to groups. And I go to groups where it's, basic material, where it's like, I've missed something. I promise you I've missed something. Every group is important, even if you're teaching the class, there's going to be someone sitting in the room that can help you learn something, or tell you that something that you already knew, and then just turn it just a little bit so now it's unlocked for you and you can really use it to its full potential. It was also during this time in my journey that I realized that everybody has a $5 problem. Everybody. We spend so much time thinking about, like this week, I had phone calls from people that I've never met in my life. What kind of entity should my business be in? Do I need an S Corp or an LLC or C Corp? What's all that all about? How do my taxes work? What's this? What's that? And I love that. I love that stuff. I don't do any of that. But I love that kind of engagement because they get it. They may not know that they get it, but they get it. And every business has a $5 problem. And I truly believe that. What that means for me is that if you're struggling with something that could cost you tens or $20,000 of dollars, or tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're struggling with making any money, the solution is always $5 away, whether that's gas money to a meetup, or it's buying coffee for a mentor, or it's on Fiverr. I'm a big fan of solving the problem and then doing a better job later on. Especially as we're thinking about one bite at a time. Entrepreneurship is 1,000 baby steps, not 2 or 3 really big steps. And so as I was beginning to grow and build, I was really stingy with where my resources went, and I began to realize that it was holding me back. So it's like, oh man, what I really want to do is I really want to go speak in front of this crowd, but I don't have any content. I don't know what I would say. Don't have any material. And that's miserable, and you get locked up by your own fear and your insecurity and your nonsense. So go spend $5 and have somebody print something with your name on it that says generally what you do. Doesn't have to be pretty, definitely isn't going to be perfect, but now you have solved that problem for yourself. The only thing separating success from you was a $5 half-baked fix that helped you step up. I've had the worst business cards forever. I hate my business cards, but they were $5. And I was like, what if I'm locked up personally because I don't have a good business card, or I don't have a business card. And so I went on Vistaprint and I put my name on something and I put a logo on something. Yeah, exactly.
My business cards are terrible too.
Right.
And I've had people offer to buy me new ones even. I'm
right.
like, no. I like my $9 business card.
Right.
The dude's like,
well, and it's like, so many business owners I talk to, they're like, oh no, I can't go do this. I don't have business cards. I can't go to networking. Go spend $5 on business cards, right? $5 on business cards, it's going to help you make $2,000 a month. Go spend the don't spend $2,000. Spend $5. It's $5.
But that's fine. That's messed up of me to say that.
Right. Well, but it's just part of the learning curve. It's part of the process.
If you gain a business card, if you have $5 choice between business cards or $5 in gas at that event, go to that event.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go to the
Write
event.
your name on paper, right? That's right.
Yeah.
Your phone contact.
Yeah. Whatever it is. Like you can go hustle without a business card, but if you're jammed up, I can't be in business. I can't go talk to you. I'm not ready. Just spend the $5, man. Just get out. Just get out of your own way.
And my business card has been in my discipline basket for like a really long time.
Right?
And I'm like, I can't because there's a slot for web. You have to have a web address. So I go to Weebly and I started paying for $50, and I'm like,
Nope.
God, this is taking a long time to build this website. So
Right.
I can't do my business cards.
Right.
because I don't have my website, so it's like holding me back. I'm like, sure, this is not
Sure.
the end all why you can't have business
Sure.
cards. So you're saying that's why you just take the web card out of the card.
Well, this is great. This is great because this is exactly, so when I took this bookkeeping course, right? I go and I learn all this content, then I get to the end and they're like, okay, you're ready to be in business. And it felt like I was going through a funnel backwards. Because there were these rules, there was this objective, and I got there, and then there were a million more things for me to do, and none of them were related, right? And so I started talking to people. I started coming and doing stuff like this, engaging businesses. And so what I can tell you is that you can get a Google email for $5 with your name on it and all of the G Suite stuff. And if you do that, you can eventually put your website on the back end of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that come up on my Windows 10, like, do you want the Google Suite? And I was just like, that and Dropbox is also confusing. Like,
Right.
no, I don't really want to do that.
I mean,
Too much work.
if you go, right?
Okay.
But it's just options. It's just stuff that jams you up. And now you can't grow your business because you're worried about where to get your website from.
Google Suite.
Right? So, and you can do whatever you want. Like, there's no good answer. What I'm telling you is that if you need business cards and you need to put an email on them, go spend the $5 on a G Suite.
The marketing part, like for me, it's like you need to have a website so you can show what you can do. And it's like, well, and the caption for here, the marketing is bookkeeping is more important. So I'm hoping like, okay.
Do this. You don't have time to go to a website or hire someone. Just put what's called a business card site. Just get your information on there and put on there, I'm a relationship builder. I want to talk to you. Right? Let's talk. That's what I copy.
Yeah.
Have a good Facebook business page.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Or just like Facebook, getting the feedback and messaging me. I realized that my voice, it creates like a bigger, like, I don't want to say fan base with people. So I shut it down because I'm like scared. Or one girl, she like offered, paid me cash. I'm like, hey, can you do this for me? But because I wasn't quite sure, like, it all perfect and together, I like sent her money back. Like, I can't do this. So I'm like, this fear is really holding me back. I have all the money because I don't want to invest. I don't want to do something that it fails. But you're spending all this money, shopping and eating out. And it's just like, where's your money really going? And you won't put it into yourself to grow your business. So I'm like,
Start small. Like, make sure there's a service. I write everything down. I feel like an old lady grandma. I write everything down, seriously. But I just make sure every business plan I write, I make sure there's a service or a product or something that, that like is gonna, it's a machine that's gonna make money no matter what, you know what I mean? And how you do, it's just, it's simple.
I just don't want it to look half-assed. So I literally told myself that, like, no, it's not creme de la creme, and that's daisies when you see it. It's like, I don't want to come in the beginning stage, like you just said. It's really 1,000 baby steps, and I'm trying to take 3 really big monsters.
Nope.
So,
Yeah.
So hopefully, I'll go back to the baby steps.
Exactly.
No one cares about your title. People put, I'm the CEO of my show. No one cares about your CEO or president of the company. What is he going to do for me?
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's just put this in perspective a little bit, just so that, again, very transparent. I run a bookkeeping business for real estate investors. What that means is that I have millions of dollars of property and millions of dollars in income that I count and file and help people get millions of dollars of loans. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an EA. I got a bachelor's in business administration accounting. And I work with people who don't have college degrees who do the exact same thing or better than I do. So it does not matter what your title is as long as you're solving somebody's problem, right? If you can go above and beyond for me, I could care less, right, about any of that other nonsense. Like, it's just like, solve my problem.
And you guys like the book, The One Thing, and are you saying a rich debt, poor debt?
Rich dad.
You're saying dad, okay.
Yep.
I read that one first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually got, I have some books in my car I can give you. I got The Mentor.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big reader. I'm gonna go on Audible and
Sure, yeah.
be honest. I'm not, because I started, I think I read SOAR. There's a few books I tried to just like really get into to understand just the entrepreneur.
There's some good
Sure.
podcasts.
Like, yeah. The Audible's available, I'm all for it.
You can get Rich Dad Poor Dad at the library in audio.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, do the library before you log. Log's $15 a month. You get the same books at the library. Audio books.
Yeah. I have like probably 5 or 10 things I'm trying to do, and my husband's like, can you just kind of pick one? I'm like, whatever works out, just let me kind of get my hands in everything. I'm passionate about everything, it'll all work out. And so,
You have to find your path, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
He's
But
back to one thing.
Yeah.
Go back to that one.
now we're going back to that one, right?
Yeah, back to one thing.
We're reading together.
Oh, yikes.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, do that. Yikes. All right, so $5 problems. Is stuff exactly like that, where it's like you could go spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a business coach who tell you to get a Gmail.
Yeah.
Or you can spend $5 on gas, come hang out with somebody and ask your questions, right? And that's when you can begin to really evaluate value.
And we've been through all that stuff too, really, you know what I mean? I have anyway, I thought, at first I was like, I had business all wrong when I first started too, you know what I mean? And it is the routine and discipline and the grind every day that sucks, but it starts adding up, and like people are like, I don't know, just start small,
Yeah.
do it.
So I definitely want to help people more than I want to make money. So I'm glad to hear you say that. Like, that's where I do know it's not
Sure.
like, what can I do to make money. It's genuinely using my passions, my gifts, and be able to deposit something in someone to help them get to that place.
Right.
So in that, motivational speaking, being a mentor, doing the volunteer with JA, all these things I'm doing, and now I'm going to be not really an event planner. I just have like a specific vision, a specific design, and I want to sell it.
Sure.
And that's just where I'm at right now on the business side of maybe making money, but not really.
Right. I think you should go for it. But you bring up a great point. So if I can begin to transition a little bit into action content as opposed to just motivation, I'd love to do that just really quickly. Because we kind of started late and I'm hungry and I know how it is. People got to get home. But pricing is something that being an entrepreneur, like pricing is the worst, right? Because you're never sure. You're never sure. Do I go look up 20 of my competitors and figure out what they're charging for what I'm doing and just do that? Do I meet them? Do I just start with the cost and then just pick an hourly wage for myself? How do I approach what I charge? And there's never a good answer. Never a good answer. It truly depends, I believe, on your market. But the great thing is that depending on what you're doing, you're in a market all on your own, right?
I agree. Whenever I did a roofing business, and I had a partner who had a roofing company in another state, and he told me, I was like, what about Salazar, who's been around for 50, 40 years, And he was like, fuck him, sorry.
No, you're fine.
He's like, who cares about them? You know what I mean? Like, you wake up every day and you be the best person you can be, and eventually, you will be them before you know, and I would always, without thinking, I would always be like, well, what about these guys? These guys are putting in a bid. These guys are buying this stuff. And then he's like, stop. It don't matter, dude. Work on you. And it would make me so mad sometimes, but now I say the same thing And now I have other people like getting mad, like, you have to know about your competitor. And I'm like, no, don't. I'm telling you, don't worry about it. I'm like,
Yeah, man. Doesn't matter what they're doing. There's a strong chance that you're doing it better than them anyway. So charge what's going to put food on your table and help your business scale.
So you didn't look at your competitors?
Oh, I absolutely did. Absolutely did. But then it's like, so I look at my competitors and then I look at the scope of work. So in my very specific situation, I do bookkeeping, right? And so I do it on a flat-based model, kind of the Netflix style subscription-based, where it's $500 a month, right? Which is already a lot of money. But then you sign up with me in November and you want your taxes ready for this year on January 10, which I can do, no problem. It's $500 a month, not $500 to get them done. Which means you sign up for me in November, I'm about to ask you for $5,000 and $500 a month to get all the work done, right? That to this day makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, you're not ready. We're having a conversation about what the monthly is, and I'm going to turn around and be like, hey, by the way, there's 10 months. There's 10 whole months in there that you're forgetting about, that you want me to go in and do the work for, but you're stuck in the right now, and I want to help you, but I also, what I do is valuable. I need to get paid.
I've also learned to say, I'm not the cheapest guy. You know, if you want the cheapest work, you should probably go somewhere else. Because, you know, you get what you pay for. And if you want, you know, but if you want quality work that's going to be done right, you know.
Yeah, cheap, fast, and good, right?
You can only have two.
Yours is the quality versus like quantity.
I'm very good at what I do. Yeah, right?
Track record.
Obviously. Well, no, I believe that I'm very good at what I do, and I understand why I think I'm good at what I do. Somebody else could come in and critique me all day, and we have a very deep conversation about that. But at the end of the day, my ability to have that conversation puts me in a different level of play, inherently.
And I need a down payment before I talk about that too.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me. Like, just my ideas. It's like I've had that happen. We're having conversations. Next thing I know, they just went on with an idea. I'm like, I think I should probably start charging for consultation because those ideas are kind of just taken.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
But there's uncomfortable conversations to have when you just want to help a friend or you just want to.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Well, and for me, it also became a big deal. I'm like, what am I charging for? Let's kind of like really backpedal. Bookkeeping's not hard. It's not hard. It's hard to keep up with it. That part sucks. The accounting part can get a little difficult, but the actual like, I'm gonna log into QuickBooks and this is money and this is money and this is, that part's not difficult. It's what comes after that. And so what I sell to people isn't the labor. I'll do the labor, I'm very upfront about that. But at the end of the day, what I do is I begin to package it in such a way that you understand it, and we're not talking about debits and credits. You don't need a college degree to talk to me, right? And then I can take exactly what I gave you, and I can give it to other people and help them make decisions without using all the jargon. And so I'll sit down with people for free. I've sat down with people in the room for free. I'm going to continue to do that. And I believe fundamentally that if we're not a good fit, or we are a good fit, but you don't have any money, and it would make no sense for you to outsource to me, then I'll tell you exactly how to get there for free so that it makes sense, so that when you're ready for help, your system is right. And so on stuff like that, where if what you're selling is your experience, maybe you charge for that. I've got a consulting package that I could charge people. Nobody ever signs up for it. I have one customer that does that. But it's nice to have that just to flex it around. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's your experience here? Is it in the creative, or is it in getting off the couch and getting it done, right? I'm going to organize this for you. What do you want it to look like? Get creative, get creative. I've got people for all of that. I can get that done for you. Oh, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck.
Seriously.
You're planning your own wedding right now.
That's how it works. And they literally end up, or they end up just paying more. It's like, oh, look at those receipts that you end up doing after you would have just paid me up front.
Right. And that's how that works. And so kind of your challenge as a business owner is going to be how to communicate that without being a dick.
Yes.
I got a question that is something towards your industry, I guess. How do I know who knows the most laws, the most...
Sure.
You know what I You know, no one's going to be like, honestly, I'm not that great. You know, so
Sure.
how can I weed them out?
Your question is, how do I find professionals that are actually professionals at what I need them to be?
Right.
Right? So what's the business?
Well, no, your business.
Sure.
Bookkeeping, CPAs, or, you know, not.
Sure.
But that.
So like when I approach clients or prospective clients, I'm not talking about, the new tax law changes. I'm talking about their tenants. I'm talking about flip houses and the market. I'm engaging them in their own game.
Asking
right?
questions to get what they're.
Yeah. It's like if you want to talk about the cost basis of an inventory management for a flip house, cool. If you want to talk about how the market's changed and you can't move that thing that's over $150,000, let's talk about that, right? Let's connect in a different way. And so if you're shopping, you should find somebody that's talking about what you want to talk about. If you're looking for customers, you should talk about what they want to know and what they want to talk about, right?
Not just the cost, just like for me, the biggest thing is just starting. Like, okay, you may have people that they're like models, or there's certain where it's free just to kind of get it out there. Just deciding like, okay, I'm going to spend X amount of dollars just to start. No client, just to say this is what I
Sure.
do. Like you have no beta, you have nothing to show. Just stock photos of balloons and pillars. But
Okay.
how do you decide like how much to invest? Like, okay, I'm gonna go spend $300 on balloons, and I'm gonna go rent this machine, and there's this $800. I told my husband I want this $800 blown up latex inflation machine because it blows up two at the same time and it sizes it for me, and that's gonna cut down manpower. It's like, why can't you just get a pump, Daisy, and just blow the balloons up? Why do you have to have the $800
Sure.
machine? So just knowing how much money I want to start. 'Cause again, it's a big step. I don't want to just take these little
Sure.
baby steps.
And I love that. That is a $5 problem, right?
Everybody has $5.
That's a $5 problem. What you need in that situation is somebody who's done that one time or more, who can look at you and say, yeah, but you'll be there for 8 hours hand pumping balloons, right? So go spend the money. Or just here's how you can get it for real cheap. Don't go to Party Galaxy, but go to Home Depot and get a nozzle and go over here and do that. And now you have the same thing for half the cost or whatever it is, right?
From the dollar store, not Party.
No, it has to be Qualitex balloons. That's another thing.
That's
This
cool.
quality and latex, like I'm doing my homework. This isn't just
Yeah.
no regular balloon. This is
Right.
That's kind of the whole thing I'm selling. Like, no, anybody can go get those balloons. These balloons I'm driving to Arlington. I could do it online, but I want to be there because they're getting ready to launch these matte balloons, and it's only in the UK. This is a big deal to me. Very passionate about it. I'm not gonna get worked up.
Cool.
But no, it's not just a Party Galaxy, just made in China balloons. These are like
Quality.
the best of the best.
Sure.
But no, I've never done it. But
Can
I've
you
done
rent the
it.
equipment?
I don't know. I'm looking
Do
into
you
that.
know anyone who is just as passionate about you?
No.
Or just as passionate about those balloons as you?
Now in Texas, like that's the problem I'm kind of running into. Like there's
Start marketing in Texas.
Yeah.
Get an actual party going, you know, where they ask for a budget and then go buy balloons.
Yeah, it's
Right.
I found the girl is like, it's only in Australia, and I'm like flipping out, like why is this specific type of balloon is only in Australia? So I started doing my homework and I find out Qualitex is here, it's Simpertex is the only over there, and I'm like, okay, so we can't get it here because it's there, and it's like only the distributor can. So there's only one distributor in the US for it, and they haven't gotten the balloons yet. They'll be here in like a few weeks. So this is a big deal for me, because I'm like, it's not even here yet, you know? So I'm trying to be the one, when I do it, it's gonna be, you know, that's Daisy's balloons, because you can't get them here. It's like a big deal.
Does your client even want those kinds of balloons?
I don't know. I don't have clients. I don't even know.
Exactly.
You have a hobby. You don't have a business. You have a hobby.
That is not a hobby.
That's a hobby.
No, it's
not
not.
making money.
This is serious.
No, I know it is serious.
So reading the room a little bit, it sounds like you're putting the cart before the horse, right? Or you're very excited, and that's very good, and that's going to help you make a lot of money. What's really going to help you make money is a client, right? It's
okay, I have
right.
people like
Sure,
I
yeah.
told you that wants to, and then I'm like, I'm not quite ready. They,
Right.
they just know I can. I do my kids' parties, you know.
Sure.
I have, you know, I've done my daughter,
Start
so
by
they
charging
know
money.
I do event planning. But I've never charged anyone to do it. I just do it. So now I'm trying to get more serious, get my pricing right and all that stuff.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just trying to do it the right way because people want me to do it, but I'm just like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't even know how to begin. Wait. And they're like, I just need you to do my daughter's party like you did that over there for your daughter. And I'm like, that was like
Sure.
$3,000. We redid her room. That was a lot of money, and I don't want to tell you it's $300 party. That was like a $3,000
Next time
party.
someone calls you for a party, just call me, and then I'll tell you how much I spent for it.
Yeah.
It's a win-win situation.
Well, I think a lot of what you can begin to do is be very honest with those people. Operate in full transparency where it's like, hey, you want that? Cool. Let me tell you exactly what that was for me. Let me tell you exactly what that was. Now, you have the experience to do that with different material for way less, and it would probably still look amazing. Not as good as your own kid's party, which is their fault because they're cheap. But if somebody came to you and said, hey, I've got this problem, and you say, cool, what you're basing this on was a $3,000 job. I really don't have that. What would you like to have?
We can downscale it.
Yeah.
To fit your budget.
Right?
And then once you get more parties booked, you can buy bulk balloons. Then, you can buy balloons for, that's what I did in roofing too. I was buying shingles before I even had houses put them on. Kind of like you, But I knew I was going to get those.
Yeah.
So.
But like you said earlier, do that one, jump. All you gotta do is jump. And the referral after referral after referral.
That's what's going on with the
Referral.
attorney. It's like, why don't you? Because when I was working, I always did our Christmas parties. I'm just always doing creative stuff. So he's even saying like, are you doing your event planning? Because Christmas is coming up, and they want to know like, are you going to be doing? I'm like, I don't know, because I haven't rented out the
So you
stuff.
have, you have some customers.
I do.
You have
but I won't-
prospects.
Yes, a lot. But I'm like, shut the door. Like, no, wait, because it's not ready.
You gotta-
It's not ready.
You gotta whip that door open.
Make it simple and just do time and expense to start out with until you know how much everything costs. So you
How much
say
is
my
it?
hourly rate is $30 or $50 an hour, and then whatever your budget is, I'll spend all of that on the party.
And then you pay this much for me.
Yeah. The only thing I would change about that is sell 10 hours at a time.
Sell 10 hours at a time.
Yeah, the last thing you want is a stopwatch in your hand. So,
Right. You get all this,
Yeah.
this is how many hours I do it for.
right, exactly. I'm going to sell you 5 hours of my time. 5 hours of prep and 5 hours of actually being there, making sure all the fires stay out. 10 hours, this much. If it's a little, and then you just know if it's 10 hours and 10 minutes, that's on you. If it's 11 hours, maybe you have a conversation, maybe you don't. And if it's 8 hours,
The customer, right? Like she's telling that to the customer.
yeah. Otherwise, they're going to call you with a million 3-minute questions.
Well, I messed up with one trying to send as I'm creating it, and she couldn't see the vision. That was like a huge mistake. So this mistakes along the way scare me and make me go all the way back. Like, oh,
You get their vision of what they want, you say, okay, got it.
yeah.
And you roll with it.
But then, like, all along the way, when I was trying to send her pictures, like, oh, look what I found, she wasn't seeing it. And that was the one I gave her money back.
Don't
It
do
You're
it
the
didn't.
professional.
Don't do
You're
it,
the one
just
that
show up with
used
what
to
you
do
got
it.
and boom, there it is.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
she hired you for,
Yeah, you're the creative part.
My opinion,
And then you have different,
the best thing you can do, start with one.
Yeah.
you gotta jump, just that one.
Do one. You're gonna make mistakes, but you're only making mistakes on one. Tell the same things to new real estate investors. Start with one, because you're gonna make mistakes. And it's inevitable. Each time you're gonna get a little bit better.
Yeah.
If
They
you
won't
wanna
even
jump
know
out
when
and
they
do
start.
10,
I gave her money back. I was like, I'm not doing it. I like retreat. So I want to, because holidays are coming up, and we're working with the YMCA, and they're wanting like, oh, you can come here and put your display up. And I'm like, ooh, for the turkey bingo over Thanksgiving.
All right, we're doing this.
I know, so it's what is holding you back? Fear.
The other thing is, you get paid.
It's a service,
You
right?
don't work for free.
No,
And they understand that. People understand that.
But how much and why am I charging this much? Like all that stuff.
Because you're a professional.
You're
offering a
charging that
service.
much because
Not really.
You are. You have to go.
Well, you call your competitors and ask them what they're charging,
Uh-huh.
and then you do some market research, and you find out what that cost is. And then, a lot of people will undercut their competitors just to get their foot in the door, to get that referral base, and then they increase their prices.
Right. You want referrals, that's what you want. You don't wanna have to work for anybody, you want other people.
Yeah,
to
the
get
event
money.
industry sounds like a very referral.
Yo, my gosh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you have some packages that are budget, each budget goes this way. You have a 1,000, you have a 2,000.
Yeah.
and give them little things for free.
Once you got your vendors established, you know what they charge, and so then you can progress. But like she said,
Find out what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or for somebody else, or for somebody who's already doing stuff like that.
or that.
Work for them for a year. You'll
Yeah.
learn all.
Then you'll
the
know it all.
things you do right
You'll
and
get all
wrong.
their secrets.
Resources and.
And you go off and do it yourself.
You'll also know how well the business is doing when you work for them.
Uh-huh.
And you'll know if it's actually a really good idea or not.
That's a good idea.
If I was gonna go start a bar, I'd love to own a dance club, right? You know what? I know nothing about it other than as a patron, right? I have friends that own it. If I was to go start one, I'd go work for them for a year. So I started bar back, that's what I would do. I would start at the ground floor, try to learn as much as I can, work there for a year, and learn all the good and the bad stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on that you have no clue. And not has just business side of stuff. You've never owned your own business, there's a lot of stuff.
And you're gonna
Way
need
to learn
your
it.
tunnels, you're gonna have to have insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I got a question for you, going back to real estate. Do you believe the more doors you have, the better it is? No?
No.
The more what?
No, the more doors you have, the better you got it.
More rentals.
The more rentals,
Oh, no.
the more units.
Apartments and stuff?
No.
No? Okay. I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah. I mean, it always depends on your deal. I've talked to people who have, $1 million doors or whatever, and they're making less than $100 in profit on a door. Last month I talked to a guy who bought the house across the street from him. It was like just shy of $1 million. He was in a really expensive neighborhood, but the rents there are so high that he's making $2,000 in cash flow a month off of one door, paying his mortgage, paying for the repairs. That's what he told me. I'm not doing his books, so we'll find out. But right, but it's like, for comparison, when people begin to do the math, they're thinking $100 a door, $150 a door, whatever it is. Maybe, but it depends on your market, depends on the deal. At the end of the day, if I've got one house to watch, it's much different than 10 houses to watch, right? Those are 10 bathrooms I got to worry about not working at any given moment, right?
Yeah. I know one, like I said, I really didn't know this was a real estate meeting or whatever, but I follow one guy I really like, Guru, or whatever, and I sometimes listens to his real estate stuff, and he always says, the more doors you have, the better. And I never really
This is the same problem. Just forget real estate. This is any kind of business. There are people who are doing $1 million a year in business, and they're only taking home $1,000 a month. They're about one mistake away from going broke. But there's a guy
He's got like
making $100,000 a year,
$800
and keeping $90,000, right? Would you rather keep $90,000 out of 100, or
No, I get it.
1,000 out of a million?
I understand. I do. I understand that. And I've noticed net and gross is not anyone can make $1 million on paper, but like it's easier to make $1 million on paper than it is to make. What did you say earlier about the?
It's not what you make; it's what you keep.
That's what I mean. It's easier to, or it's harder to net $1 million than it is to gross $1 million.
Yeah. Hand over fist. So, one of the big things that I wanted to do for this, and I love this, and we can keep doing this the whole time. There's a few things that I want to hit as far as financial performance is concerned. Things that you can do for free or for cheap that will help you change how you think about your own money, help you build a business and stay organized. And it's it's $5 problem stuff. So one of the things you can do to get yourself off the ground, stay solid from a money perspective, is build a money system that works like you work. And what I mean by that is that I already know how you work, and if you're broke, you're scared, and if you've got a whole lot of money, you're lazy. And if you've got a whole lot of money, you're spending it, and if you don't have any money, you're terrified. And that's not how to manage cash. It's a horrible way to manage money all the time. And so one of the things that I really love to do to manage my money is split it up and move it around. Not like stocks and real estate. I mean different accounts. I'm a big fan of a system called Profit First. It's a book by Mike Michalowicz. But his system is entirely based on that, where you're going to treat your money like an animal, where when you got a lot of cash, you're going to go spend a lot of money. And when you don't have a whole lot of cash, you're going to be terrified and you're going to be locked up. You can't make any decisions. I've been on both ends of that spectrum now. And then you're an entrepreneur, and at the end of the year, you got to pay taxes. And you've got employees, and you've got unforeseen expenses, you got emergencies, and you're not in control anymore, right? And it's the same conversation here, where if you're making $1 million, but you're only taking home $1,000, that's not great. It's not a good business. And so if I could do anything, I would say go buy that book, or get it for free, get it on Audible, go to the library, whatever. It's everywhere. Profit first. And it's real easy. His marketing is everywhere. Everywhere. Who what?
Who's it by?
I think his name is Mike Michaelwitz.
Profit first.
Profit first. But it's
the finance section, not the religious section.
yes. But basically what he says is that you need to know exactly how much money you've made. You need to know exactly how much money you've spent, how much money you've given to yourself, how much money you've given for taxes, and you need to make sure that when you make money, you actually pay yourself. If you're not paying yourself, you're going to go crazy. You're going to burn out. Anytime you make any money, reward yourself. It can be 1%, be 10%, whatever it is. If that reward system is not in there, you will burn out and drown in your own business and your stress and your nonsense, even if you're making millions of dollars. Everybody does that. You got to get financially educated, and that's the best way to do it. So I'm a big fan of Profit First. If I could have started with Profit First in my business, I'd be in a much different place now. But you got to start there. Also, this is real. If you're starting a business, like you said, there's a lot of upfront costs. You need to know what those are. What you also need to begin to do is, as you begin to launch many projects in your business, whether it's doing a new service offering for a client, or it's running a Facebook ad, or it's, whatever, you're buying a house in a new way, whatever that project is, figure out what it actually cost you. For all my clients that aren't in real estate, the first thing I do is make sure that we know exactly how much money they spend on marketing all the time.
Do some businesses not know that?
No.
Seriously.
A lot of businesses do their numbers on the back of a napkin.
I thought that was a joke. Whenever you said that.
No.
That is so crazy.
No. They'll walk into meetings with my dad or with Rockford, and they'll be like, here's what I've got going on right now. And they'll get a Sharpie out, grab the nearest Post-it note, and get to work. And then it's a scribble, and they ask you for $1 million.
I would be mad if someone came to me. Well, I ain't got no money. But like, I'll be pissed.
Right.
I would really be so mad if someone came to me like that.
And it's not even like, even if you're not going to do the full-on financial statement, right? Even if it's just like, I'm trying this new thing and I hope it works. Count that. If you're running a Facebook ad and you want to know if it works, count all of your Facebook ad money, and then when one converts, you can now measure how effective that Facebook ad was. If you're dumping money into a rent house and you're not measuring that, and then it turns around at the end of the year and you're like, I was supposed to make $100 a month in cash flow, but I spent $40,000 fixing a historic home. Am I doing this the right way? Right? Is this actually worth it to me? Right? I'm spending all of this money going to a meetup out in Tulsa, but I've never actually gotten a client from it. It's been 12 months. I don't feel like I've made any meaningful connections. Is this still worth it to me? Right? So often we get caught up in just in the push. Once we get started, once we get going, there's this, I just got to go make money. I just got to go, just got to go, just got to go. There's got to be, again, 30 minutes of finance knowledge right here. There's got to be a return on investment for whatever you do. There's got to be a comparison. There's got to be a check. You can go out and push all day long, but if you're not getting any results, the only person that's going to know that is you, unless you're measuring it somehow. And then you can take those measurements and give it to somebody else. That person that's a little more experienced can look at it and say, that house is a money pit, get out. Stop driving to Tulsa. Start going to do this instead. Bookkeeping gets a bad rap, and that everybody thinks it's like debits and credits and money and QuickBooks or whatever. More often than not, I get through my financial talks with people in the course of 15 minutes, and it's an hour-long meeting. And so then we talk about their kids and their life and their business, what's working for them and what's not. And every time that we talk about something that's in their books, I can point at it. I can say, well, here's what you did in the last month, in the last quarter, in the last year. Do you think this is the right return? Is this helping you? Is this really a key component? Or can we begin to adjust and grow?
Can you really say that to these guys?
Yeah.
There's so much ego I've noticed in business too. Like that would be hard. But I guess you're in a different space. You know, you're in a.
Well, I hang out with a bunch of guys who want to be millionaires. And they think they're going to get there through real estate because Rich Dad did it, because Cardone did it, right?
Yeah.
And so these guys will show up in shorts and covered in paint, and they're worth $1 million. Sometimes they act with it like it, sometimes they act humble. And so it's a really different space. Managing that is pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, I'm on their team, and they know that. And that's why we work together. And so if I look at them and I'm like, you just spent $100,000 on a house. You thought you were going to spend 30. What's going on with that? And I'm like, oh, it's a money pit. Okay, well, now we know. Don't ever do that again. Or, oh, well, it just needed it. I'm like, okay. Good luck flipping that right now, or whatever it is, right? The point is that you don't need to give somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars to do your bookkeeping and accounting if you just lay the bare bones foundations yourself, right? Keep your receipts. You don't have to keep them in paper. Put them in a Google Drive, in a folder. Leave them alone. It's amazing. Yeah, shoebox, whatever it is.
I did how to start an LLC and started going through the steps in Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
When I got an LLC, and I'm like, oh shit. Now you're supposed to get an EIN number. Now you're supposed to do
It's
all
easy.
this stuff. But I'm scared to do the EIN because I'm like, they're gonna want to know, what are you doing? Are you keeping it separate? Like I was reading, like you're supposed to keep all your business stuff separate. Have like a business credit card.
Sure, yeah.
Well, I don't. I want to buy balloons. I want to go buy this machine.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have like the
Okay.
EIN number now.
So like, true to life. When I started my business last April, right? I went online, filed for my LLC, and then I went straight to the IRS and got an EIN, and then I went straight to the bank, and the longest part of the process was waiting for them to mail me a credit card.
Oh, okay.
Right? Don't forget, the debt monster in America is atrocious. They'll give you a credit card for nothing. Right?
I had a business card before I even got my LLC because I knew someone that worked at a bank.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tinker was like, well, we don't do business loans. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm asking for the wrong type of credit card.
Sure. Don't call it a business loan. I did the same thing. Don't call it a business loan. Don't say line of credit. Don't say any of that. Credit card. Yeah. Yeah, don't get fancy.
You don't even have to tell them, just as long as my name's on it, and I can show that I'm keeping my receipts separate and all my things for my business is separate from my personal.
Well, and the bank
That's
does.
to protect
It does
me
it
from getting
automatically,
sued, right?
Who-
I read that somewhere. Like you got to keep everything separate. That's the purpose of the LLC. So you like.
An LLC is its own identity. It's its own person, correct?
It is a person. Yep.
So it's just like, you know, and the bank's going to do that for you automatically, right?
Is-
Like, everything you spend on your business, you're going to use your business card, right? So your bank's going to keep track of all that, and then you give it to this guy, right?
Well, see, it hasn't happened at the end of the year. That's why I'm like, I haven't done anything after I went down there to the Secretary of State. I'm all excited, got my paper, and I'm like, yeah, it's still in the fridge. Did not do the next steps because of the tax in my account. Our tax lady, she's like, dude, you told me not to get married and I was going to have to pay. Okay, I'm doing that. And now she's like, do not do a business. And I'm obviously going to be coming to her at the end of the year. Like, yeah, so I did that business that you told me not to, but.
I paid the lawyer $400. He took care of everything.
Really?
So your tax lady told you not to create a business?
Yeah, she
You
told
need a
me
new-
not to do a business. Like, you're going to have to pay more.
You need a new tax accountant.
Like, really? Okay. Yes. Yeah. They told me you're going to be paying more.
Yeah.
And you know what? You will pay more, actually, probably.
Well, when I was like an independent contractor, I was
It's
like,
not about that.
it balanced out where I was like, I don't know. I didn't get deep into it with her, like, why can't I do the business per se? But
Sure.
she'll find out in January.
You need a new person.
Really?
Yeah.
She's been doing mine forever. The Q-Bank tax service. I think I ended up going to her because she worked for the IRS, and I was just like, okay, so she's been doing it now that I'm married. It's very different, very, very different. 5 years. Yeah, it's very different with our taxes, and I don't really talk to her, so I guess I just hadn't looked into anyone else. She's just always done it.
Well, a lot of people will say, just go do a sole product, get going, get some money in, you get your first few clients. All right, now you got some money, the concept works, and you go set that LLC, that's fine. if that's what she's saying, it's different than
Maybe.
she never
It's a
gets.
sole
I don't know. I didn't even ask her. What is the sole proprietor?
It's the same.
You start to snap your fingers, you're in business.
But
No
some
legal-
don't require it. I think I was trying to be like a legitimate candy lady is how I ended up getting the LLC. I'm like, I'm gonna just sell snacks and we're gonna start the Goodie Shack. No, that was my whole concept.
Okay.
Have not done anything with it, and I thought the permit, and I found out with the trailer, and if you're gonna need all that, and legitimately, you can just open your trunk and sell candy. I didn't even have to get an LLC
Nope.
to do that. So is that what the sole proprietor
Yep.
is, or is it
Some
like
price mean you're in business for yourself.
It means you woke up and you were a business.
And you run everything out
You
of your
decided, hey, this is what
I
I'm
probably
gonna
should
do.
have got that.
I probably should have done. I didn't know that. Okay, I'll look into that.
Until you have volume, once you have a little bit of volume, the LLC gives you the liability protection,
Right.
a little bit.
A little bit.
But you gotta run it like a business, and you gotta start having separate accounts.
Yeah.
You run it like that.
So
That's
propriety,
all
you don't
legal.
have
It's not a separate account.
It's not a law. though,
You should
right?
still do
You
that.
should still.
Yeah.
It's just.
So like, where's your money
It
going?
should
Can you
practice.
account for it? That's my biggest thing. Like, you spend $50 on the website. Like, I'm looking at my little bill going up. My phone's like, you got all this stuff in the garage, candy jars. Yeah, I think it's like $100 with Weebly. You have to pay for it to just be like published, and it's like $50 a month. I don't know. I need to cancel it because it's taking me forever.
Go to Vistaprint.
To do a website?
I got, so I don't even use this business anymore, $18 a month.
Really?
And I just haven't got rid of it because I've had it for so long. If you end it and you do another one, then Google looks at it
Or
like.
Google Suite, and at the end, he said I'll be able to have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beer.
Right. Beer?
What?
Beer.
Beer and pizza.
Look, so like this, truly, like this has been my whole life for the last 18 months, is this kind of stuff where I think I've got it all figured out, and then I wake up and it's like, oh, I don't know anything. And then you just grind it out a little bit every day, one baby step. If you get 2 baby steps in, it's awesome. But that's it. That's the ups and the downs. I've learned a lot more from the downs than I have from the ups. But that's just part of it. And
Jumping off the roller coaster.
right, exactly. No, that's still the journey. That's still the ride. I mean, it's like I quit my job. I'm on vacation every day, and then I choose to get on my computer and go help people make money. And that's way better than the 9-to-5 option for me. That's the journey. That's the kick. And you don't get there without eating the elephant. You just got to start. So I think that's one bite at a time.
You gotta take the first bite. Just kind of looking at the elephant still.
Yep, and that's when you're in business, you'll start eating.
It's gonna rot.
It's gonna rot.
Someone else is gonna.
Somebody else is going to eat that elephant.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's all I got. I think we need to tie it up a little bit, but we can go get pizza and beer and keep figuring it out later.
All right, again, we're going to go across the street. Pizza, beer, tea, milk, water, nothing. Come for the conversation. Again, it's one of those power showing. The meeting after meeting, that's where we break bread together. They're staying open late just for us. Next month, Rockford's speaking, and you'll see more information about our meetup as well. And anything else, Angelina? Any other announcements?
What is it? Like, how can I follow this?
Meetup.com is where we're at. But if you go to OKC Entrepreneur Group, OKC, and I'll give you a card in a little bit, OKCEntrepreneurgroup.com, it's a domain forward to the actual meetup for this particular group.
OKC Entrepreneur what?
OKCEntrepreneurgroup.com.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and it's just a meetup, so there's tons of meetups out there and meetings, and this is just one of hundreds of them. So
I didn't like one of the entrepreneur groups I went to. Like, I actually got into a huge argument with the guy. But he was so wrong. He was so.
Yeah.
And like, anyway, he like kicked me out of the group.
couldn't. So we'll talk in a second. So anything else, guys? Is that it? Everything else? We got a few more minutes, and then we'll head across the street. Thank you.